The Dick Cavett Show. Tonight with special guests, John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Cavett.
Listen, I am afraid I have a major disappointment to announce. The tie that I wanted to wear didn't show up for today's show, and I'm going to have to go along with this one. No, the actual disappointment is that the Lennons asked that I not do a monologue because it... See, they find me so funny that if I convulse them backstage, they won't be able to come out here and talk. So I'm not going to do that. But we really have a terrific show tonight, as you know. Everybody's, it's one of the hottest tickets in town. The censor has an oxygen tent standing by for some reason. I don't know why, because first of all, he thought it was going to be an easy day. He didn't know exactly what show we were doing tonight. And he heard the word Beatle and thought it was a show on ecology and thought it was going to have a lot of fun. And now he knows who it is. And our censor is an older man and an interesting man. But a very fair man, and I have knocked him in the past, just joking. But we have an understanding now that from now on, nothing comes out of the show. And we think that that's a wonderful thing, because you're mature people, and I think have a right, want to. So, anyway, I realize that there's a tremendous request for autographs here tonight. But if you will leave your books, I will get to all of them eventually. And... is this a surprise for me? I can't help noticing that, maybe I shouldn't mention that right now, that in the second row are two people peculiarly attired. I think I won't tamper with that at the moment. There are two people in bags, right? We've had a whole audience in the bag before, but this is interesting. Let us go away for just a moment. Talk to you about something. We'll be right back after this message of interest with you-know-whom. And whom.
Everybody take your shoes off! Nobody walks on my carpet!
Most women ruin their carpet before it's ever installed in their homes. The problem is the cushion they buy. It can cushion okay, but it can also collapse and crumble.
Oh, boy.
And smell. Carpet needs more than a cushion. It needs a foundation. Omalon Carpet Foundation, new from Olin. Omalon resists collapse, resists crumble, so it's perfect for stairs. And heavyweights are less of a problem because Omalon is engineered to bounce right back. Oh, yes, Omalon has no odor either. One thing Omalon can't do, it can't be copied. Omalon patented process carpet foundation. What you can't see can't hurt you anymore. Omalon, a product of Olin Science.
Pure, fresh, fast-dissolving Domino granulated sugar has been a natural ingredient of good homemade candies for many a year. Now that Halloween is coming, I'd like to show you some of the candies that will make homemade candy a treat to be remembered. Old-fashioned rock candy, candied apples, popcorn balls, and homemade taffy, made with Domino granulated sugar, and extra easy no-cook chocolate fudge made with Domino 10X confectioner's powdered sugar. Halloween or any time of the year, homemade candy is always fun to make and fun to eat. But see for yourself. Send for your free Domino sugar recipe booklet. It'll show you how to make this homemade candy easy, as well as many other good things. Just send your name and address to Domino Recipes, P.O. Box 1, Brooklyn, New York, 11202. Give all these fine Domino products a try, and you'll see why women everywhere are using Domino sugar to help bring back the good taste of homemade for their families.
I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I guess you all know that John Lennon, together with the three other fellows named McCartney and Harrison and Starr, were responsible for becoming, I guess, the most written about, most listened to, most imitated musical group of the 60s. And for about 8 years, they were leaders in the musical world. And not only that, but it probably affected what a decade of young people looked like and thought about and dreamed of. And they achieved the absolute pinnacles of success. They were even honored by the Queen, an honor which they eventually returned, I believe. I'm sure it doesn't come as a surprise to anyone that the Beatles are no longer together. In recent months, John Lennon and John has sort of surfaced in the underground press, where he gave a long interview in Rolling Stone magazine, in which he talked with a great deal of candor and some bitterness, I suppose, about the old days. And his wife, Yoko Ono, is maybe one of the most controversial ladies since the Duchess of Windsor. Wally Simpson kept the Duke from becoming the king. Tonight they are, however, quite above ground, and I'm very pleased to welcome them here. Will you welcome, please, John Ono Lennon and Yoko Ono Lennon. How are you?
Nervous, but okay, thank you.
Are you really?
Yes.
Now, is that a little bit?
Yeah.
But it isn't as if we've never met, because we did meet once.
We did meet in a dingy hotel room.
Right. So you're Jack Lemmon.
Yes. And you're Fred Astaire. Or is it Orson Welles?
I'm not Fred Astaire. Yoko, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good, okay. Is there anything that you want to know about me to start off with that we could, just to sort of get
what do you do for a living?
To get the... actually, this is my profession.
I know you lived here.
Yeah, I practically do. I hardly ever get out of here. The chair collapses into a bed, and
It must be hard.
it's a bed. Do you have my kind of show
In England.
all over the world? I mean,
They're
been
not
everywhere.
quite as good, you know.
They what?
They're not quite as good in England at repartee, you know.
Why is this?
Well, they're more inhibited, that's all.
The
You know,
English.
they don't have anybody that would sort of freak out a little.
Yeah.
Unless Jerry Rubin comes on, you know.
Oh, yeah. Reuben came over and disrupted a show done by, I can never think of the guy's name.
David Dost?
David Drost, yes.
It was very exciting.
Yeah, it was a very exciting show, actually.
What actually happened? They came in and broke up the studio?
They broke up the studio, and David ended up in the audience to show that he wasn't with the young people, you know, which shows where he is at, really.
Out
Nothing
there.
personal, David, wherever you are, red light.
You,
All right.
you know, I had a terrible feeling that my hair was going to be longer than yours. Which is a funny thing, because I met you the other day. The recent pictures I'd seen of both of you, yours is extremely long, Yoko, and yours, John, was very long. And of
Yeah.
course, people going around saying, I can't tell which one is which and all, you know.
Yes.
That sort of
Well,
witticism.
last year I cut mine, we both cut it right off down to about 1/4 of an inch, 69 or 70, I can't remember. Because I just suddenly realized it wasn't functional, you know, to have it, when I had it down here, you just have to keep washing it and combing it. You know.
Yeah.
So then I chopped it all off, and then it just grew a bit, and then I just let it grow to this length.
What's your favorite length, Yoko? Are you at it right now?
Well, it depends, you know. We like change, and we just don't want to stick to one.
Who wants the
you know.
same old haircut every day, you know?
No.
Sorry, that's
Have
my,
a different one every few months. You know?
that's my feel. Did you save the hair by
Oh yeah.
any chance?
One time we cut it, we gave it to some Michael Malik, who was running a sort of black house in London, which wasn't exactly a Black Panther thing, but it was, I think it was something to do with it. And they were just having a community centre in London, and we sort of symbolically gave it them. They were going to auction it off at wherever you auction hair off, you know.
Yeah.
That's quite nice.
That big place in London, I can't remember the name.
Sotheby's?
Yeah, that's it. It never happened though, but it was a symbolic gesture, really.
So you don't.
Solidarity. Dim.
And that hair today then is missing.
Gone tomorrow. Silly, isn't it? Oh, you're going to do this all the
We spent
time.
this much time there.
It's gone already.
Yoko, do you have fun when you're over here in this country?
Oh, yes, very much, because after all, it is my second hometown.
Yeah.
She lived here for 10 years.
People are surprised. They often say she speaks very good English. But you've been here a lot.
But some people ask me, well, can you speak Japanese? And then I get very offended, you know, because
Can you
I
speak
am
Japanese? Yeah.
Now you've offended her, haven't you?
Get me out of this, John.
Well, funny thing happened on the way in
Way
tonight.
to-
It never has to me.
No, me.
Not once in my life.
Nothing happened.
You want to tell him
Whatsoever.
about that story, you know, whenever they talk to us and then they're not listening and then you start about that elephant.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all
Yeah.
that.
I suppose you get it too. When
Private
people
joke
meet
between
you,
us,
So-
you know, like in a restaurant or anywhere, when you're trying to order something, you find that they're so struck by, oh, is it really you, that they don't really hear your order, you know? So when I'm talking to them, I'm saying, I'd like a steak, medium, and 2 elephants came and a policeman bit my head off, and a cup of tea, please. And they're saying, yes, thank you.
It really is like
Because
that.
they're not listening, you know? Probably half of them aren't listening now, which is a good thing, I suppose.
That's a terrible feeling,
Yeah.
to think that they're never listening at all.
Well, it's surreal, you know, I don't mind that.
Have you ever had elephant actually brought to you by someone who was listening?
And bit the policeman's head off, quite often, yes. It's an old Anglo custom, you
I'll
know.
believe anything. You like being over here, I gather. I have had some English guests on. What do you think of yourself as English? First of all, let's establish that.
Well, sometimes, I mean, if you ask talking about being over here or being over there, then
Over
I
here,
think, well, I'm from over there, you know.
Yeah.
But I normally think in terms of, I suppose I think in cliques and things like other people, like musicians and or long hairs and or under 30, over 30, etc., etc. And being married to a Hawaiian, it makes you sort of more international, you know? Sorry about that.
So we sort of
Must be a
kid
mistake
each
in my
other,
notes.
you
Well,
know?
people think of us as, especially in England, not so much here, we get a bit more respect in America as artists, but back home, I think it's the case for all artists, back home it's a bit like, I'm the man that won the pools and lucky guy who had a spot of luck and married a Hawaiian actress, you know, and which isn't true, really. Do you get it?
Kid each other. Because I'm from Japan and he's from England, so somehow we found out that we're sort of passionately patriotic sometimes, you know, and we get, well, no, I mean, that's Japanese made, or no, I mean, you know, English are the first ones to
I mean,
do
we
this
invented
and all
radar
that,
and
you know.
penicillin, you know. But it's a fan turning into a hard hat, you see, when we start discussing, you know, well, we're both islands, and we're both little, and we both did this, and we both did that. And we find ourselves turning quite fascist discussing it.
You do.
Made in Hong Kong and all that.
Yeah. And you do jokes with each other, and you kid her about...
Always laughing, Dick.
Are you? Give you in and laugh?
After
No.
this...
I mean, would you stoop to, you know, Pearl Harbor jokes and that
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
thing?
I do all that. So speak English, huh? Oh, so English
They're
pig.
a kabuki thing.
Oh yeah, there's a
know
kabuki
about
theatre in
kabuki,
Japan,
don't
and they have
I
a
know.
massive stage, and on stage they have the musicians with them, and
You've
all the
seen it
men
only
play the
once,
parts,
though,
you
yes.
see, and all the men play the women's part. They go, no, that's kabuki, you see. I learned it after only one sitting.
It's very good.
Even
You-
Japanese,
do you know what it
yeah,
is?
they start to laugh when he does that, because it really is Japanese when he does that. I mean, kabuki, you know.
Only our hip
Very
nips will
kabuki.
notice how funny it is, actually.
There are two of them in Utah breaking up right now.
And I've seen one on TV with yellow glasses, and he calls himself the hip nip. And he pretended to be Italian in the war, I
we just
remember.
laugh.
Is
funny,
is
though.
Mr. Lennon putting me on?
I don't know.
糸さんに面会したのですか?
Ah!
Was sind die drei besten Dinge von der ganzen Welt?
Yo hablo poquito español.
¿Qué pasa?
Whose room is it? We have a brief message of interest from people of various creeds and colors, and we will return. There we are.
May I?
Now that we're through making fun of each other's nationalities and other people's, you were saying.
Yes, I just discovered, you know, so John was saying that he discovered that I chain smoke through this article that he was reading about me, you know. Somebody said I chain smoke.
I had noticed before.
Is that what it is now? And since then, you know, he never gets off that one. But I just noticed that I'm lighting another
You
one.
see the video that you chain smoke? Oh, smoking kills us, you see.
It does, you know, you're setting a bad example
Didn't
for
work,
adults
Janoff.
all over the world.
Didn't work, Arthur.
Does
talking
that
to
ever happen
Janoff.
to you, that you find out something about the other from something you read rather than
Oh,
actually...
sure. I mean, I began to suspect she chain smoked because every time I kiss her, I burnt my chin. But, and then I read it in an article.
That's a wonderful delivery you've got. That's good.
You know,
Yeah.
back on the boards.
Yeah. But what was I going to say just before that? Do you have any
Something about,
idea? We're talking about articles written about you and all this.
Oh, yes.
Well, I know where I was. I know where I was.
What's that?
Earlier, I said you seem to like it here because I've had English guests on, British
Yeah,
guests,
that's
who've said they come here because they're stifled over there and they can't work and they like the exhilaration here. But then I've had American writers who have left America because they feel so menaced and threatened that they like the calm of London.
Yeah, well, somebody like Richard Chamberlain went over there and did very well, you know, going from the soap opera to Hamlet. And vice versa, I suppose people have come over here and broadened the scope. I think it's just a matter of you have a different kind of feeling when you're abroad, you know, maybe you can loosen up. But in Britain, we only have 2 channels of TV. And if you watch the old British movies on TV now here, it's the same old men always on TV in Britain still, you know. They have a sort of school of actors. There's about 3 new people got into the profession since I was 10. So it's a bit limiting, you know.
Oh, you do see all the same old faces.
But the best thing about British TV is the live stuff, you know, like plays and things like that. But it just goes off at 12, you know. So if you have a choice in England of either going out to dinner or watching TV, you can't do both. But with America, it's great. You just sort of wake up and it's on, and you get back after going out for an evening and it's still on. It's beautiful.
It's nice if you're sick.
I love
it. You know when you're sick and you're up
I'm
all night.
always sick. That's why I like it so much. According to something I was reading.
British TV is all right, though, in a way. You know, they have all sorts of nice movies.
Well, it's not bad, my dear.
I'm getting used to British TV more than Japanese TV, of course, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I feel British sometimes, you know, that way.
Did your accent change slightly when you're in England?
I don't know.
Yeah.
People tell me that I have Liverpool accent now. And all
She used to have an American accent, being educated here at those funny schools.
Sarah Lawrence.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a funny place, isn't it?
You know, I was there.
Do you still have friends from Sarah Lawrence that you're in touch with?
Ah, well, there was one
Not-
turned
oh,
out
yes,
to be a
yes.
snide. Tell him about that.
A snide?
No, well,
Yes.
you see, a classmate of mine, sort of about 2 years ago, that was when we weren't really that famous that we were together, but
Yeah.
we
It
were
was the
just
first
getting...
article in America on us both
Yes,
since we got together.
it was very important for me,
Yeah, look.
actually, because I was introduced to America through that article, and she was a classmate of mine, so I thought, oh, that's nice. So she came, and I thought, well, you know, since we are friends, so I should cook for her and all that, and I made a nice lunch for her. And then she wrote that, what was it? That
Oh, she said Yoko looked fat like an old witch cooking. She was 9 months pregnant and just had a miscarriage. And that
I resembled
Ernest Borgnine, you know. Well, you can see that she doesn't. And that was
I mean,
this
I-
old pal
I
that
like
had
him and
sneaked
all
in
that,
to
but,
see
you
us.
know.
You do like Ernest
On
Borgnine?
no, I
pretext.
like-
I just
I
want to
like
say
Ernest
Betty
Borgnine.
Rollins' legs.
Was it Betty Rowland who wrote
Yeah.
the article? Oh.
Good old Betty, old pal of Yoko's. Betty
And
Rollins'
then
legs.
she said something about...
Betty Rollins' legs. Okay, I think we can leave that one out.
Some-
It's silly
something
to be so bitter, isn't it?
Oh, yes, there's something about her legs. I never noticed anything wrong with her legs when I was married to her.
Did you? You weren't looking, obviously.
No.
She kept them long skirts on all the time.
I
so-
was never. In
Weren't
fact,
you?
as a matter of fact, no, I wasn't. But
put
she
it
wrote an
on.
article recently in which she said I was delicious.
Well, maybe she's had a pill or something.
Right. But do you have, you don't go to reunions at Sarah Lawrence. You were only there about a year then, I gather.
3 years, actually.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to graduate, you know. I was one of those early dropouts. I just felt it was so ridiculous to go another year. I just couldn't stand it. And in those days, people said, well, it's so silly to not graduate, you know, that bit.
Because you'll never get a job.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I was a bit afraid of that, of course.
You never make it. That's what they told me too.
That if you didn't finish school.
One master wrote, "You're on the road to failure if he carries on this way."
Do you ever see your old schoolmates?
No, I've seen a few old school friends, not teachers. No.
Yeah.
Most of them dislike me, except for one or two, you know. So I am always glad to remind them
Was there ever a
of
teacher
their
that...
incredible awareness they had.
Was there ever a teacher who did inspire you?
Yes,
or
there was always one teacher in each school that would usually be an art teacher or an English language or literature kind of thing. If it was anything to do with writing or art, I was okay at it. Anything to do with science or maths, I just couldn't get it in, you know.
Yeah.
So, but most subjects were science and maths because supposedly they don't want artists, you know. Even at art school, they tried to turn me into a teacher. They tried to discourage you from painting and, you know, why not be a teacher? Because then you can paint on Sunday. I decided against it.
You know, your drawings look a little like James Thurber's.
Well,
not a
I
lot,
used
but-
to love his stuff when I was a kid.
Oh, did
There
you?
was
Stuff
two people.
look like
Yeah.
a bit like yours, you know, I think.
Well, he's older than me, so he came
Oh,
first, so I look like him.
Mm-hmm.
I used to
right.
read
Nice
those stuff
point.
when I was a kid. Three people I was very keen on: Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland, Thurber, and an English drawer, or whatever you call him, called Ronald Searle.
Ronald Searle. Oh, we
Yeah.
get him over here.
Yeah, so when I was about 11, I was turned on to those three. When I was, well, I think I was about 15 when I started Thurberizing the drawings. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes. That was my imitation of Nigel Bruce, one of your actors.
I saw.
Oh, really, Holmes? Remember he played Watson in the Sherlock Holmes movies?
Yes.
Oh, really, Holmes? It's dynamite, usually.
Ella Fitzgerald, dear Watson.
You thought it was Ella Fitzgerald?
No, Ella Fitzgerald, dear Watson. That's a pun on
Oh,
elementary.
Elementary, my dear Watson. That's
I get
right.
it, yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald. That's known as wordplay.
Yes, I'm
Oh, I
always
can
playing
play
with
that.
myself.
Sure.
Betty Rollins' legs. Our local station.
We will be rolling further after this message from our local station.
Good evening from ABC News headquarters in Washington. I'm Howard K. Smith.
I'm Harry Reasoner in New York. These are tonight's headlines.
ABC Sports brings you the action, pageantry, and thrills of collegiate football. The top teams from all sections of the country in the season's key games. NCAA football every week on ABC.
Very nice. Look at it on the face.
There's more to the movie, of course. That was
It
only...
goes from head right through
Now,
up to the
never
toe and back
mind.
again. From head to toe.
Oh, yeah.
And you notice the women always giggle. It was shown at the Cannes Film Festival, and it got an ovation, believe it or not. And but the women always giggle like mad, especially as it's getting higher.
Yeah.
Cut it just before it was getting very interesting, you know, I mean, sort of.
It was just getting
Well,
interesting, but of course we're on TV.
Yes, this is television,
I mean,
after all.
this isn't Channel 13, is it?
I didn't even know you could...
More! Steady rolling. Aye, aye. I don't wish to know
When the censor found out the movie was called The Fly, you can't imagine what he thought.
Imagine.
Maybe you can. The
That's a
Fly,
good
you must
joke
have
on
done
the
an
album,
enormous number of retakes to get The Fly to do...
We had an enormous number of flies. In fact, the credits are almost as long as the film because there's so many people catching flies from the back of dirty New York restaurants and things like that. And then we were catching them in the room.
Yeah.
The girl was very good, and her
Who
name
was
was
that?
Virginia Lust.
Virginia Lust,
Yeah.
L-U-S-T?
Yeah, L-U-S-T. Get out of that.
Did the movie lead to other roles for her or The
Well,
Fly?
I should hope so. Well, I think
Well,
it will.
after 2 years of making movies, we made about, say, 12 together and apart. And we finally got deals here with people called Genesis in America and somebody else in Britain. And they'll be going around all the different colleges. So before our films haven't really been seen, so nobody really knows that we're filmmakers. Yeah. We've had them in Cannes Festival. They did all right in there. We had them in the Edinburgh Festival. There's a chance they're going in the New York Festival. They're definitely going in the San Francisco Festival. And they should be later this year starting to, about 5 of them probably will tour America. So
you're serious about film?
Oh, sure. Film is, well, it's like recording only with your eyes, you know. You just make it visually and it's just as interesting. And to combine the both is really interesting.
How would you feel about me if I were to ask if Bottoms was shown at the Cannes Festival?
Bottoms wasn't, no.
That was a bad joke.
That was a joke.
Oh, yeah. Well, that answers my question.
Yes, we'll be back after this.
No, wait a minute. Will you explain the people in the bags before the evening is out?
Yes.
Not now, but before the evening is over.
Are you going to tell a story of how you started the bag event?
Yes, well, that was when some composer was going to visit me from Europe, and I was sort of, you know, I didn't really want to meet because I'm basically a very shy person. And then I thought, well, you know, people don't believe me when I say I'm very shy, but we're both actually. And then I thought, no, I don't want to meet him, but then there wasn't anything I can do. So finally, he was coming, and it was about an hour before he was coming, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I just, you know, out of desperation, made a bag, and I was in the bag when he came to visit me.
An all-over bag or just over your head?
All over.
All over.
Yes.
That's
and
a terrific
so he was saying,
idea.
well, where's Miss Ono and all that? And, oh, yes, well, it's you, is it? And all that. And he was pretty calm about it because he's heard of my work and all that. So he thought, oh, is this your, you know, musical piece or something? And, I mean, it was very comfortable, you know, because then I didn't have to be seen, you know. I could see him, but I couldn't.
And there's no prejudice. People are in bags. You know, if a black man goes for a job in a bag, if everybody had to go in a bag for a job, there'd be no prejudice, you see. You'd have to judge people on the quality within, you know, and we call it total communication. We were asked to make a film for Austrian TV, which we did, called Rape, which wasn't a rape, but it was called Rape. It was rape by camera, in fact. And when we went to Austria to show it, we did a press conference there in a bag, and it was great because all the press came in, you know, and they never saw us. We were just both in a bag, and they interviewed the bag, and they're saying, "Oh, is it really you? And what are you wearing? And will you sing a song?" And that. And why us? And they said, "What is this?" And I said, "It's total communication." They said, "But why did you pick on us? We've never seen a Beatle." And it was beautiful. And they were saying, "Do you realize the Habsburgs lived here?" And we're saying, "Yeah, so." And it was a great press conference, and they all had a very serious conversation with the bag. And next day, the headlines in Austria were, you know, the show of bag, and all the important press men all just talking to it. So those are in the audience. We have two friends which are
who are in fact in bags.
See, we thought of a thing that we must take a break now. Yes.
That's right. We will take a break, and we will get to them after that. Stay with us.
If you could take the tough food stains on your dishes and break them into tiny balls, they'd roll off your dishes, right? Well, that's what Calgonite does in your dishwasher. You see, Calgonite's unique formula breaks up tough stains like chocolate and spaghetti into tiny balls and rolls them off your dishes right down the drain. So with Calgonite, your dishes are more than spotless. They're clean, too.
New York traffic, a real nightmare for taxis any time of the day. Meet Louis Cohen. He fights that traffic for a living.
You know, the secret in this business is to keep rolling. That's why I've been using STP oil treatment in all my kids for over 6 years now. That's over 300,000 miles without a single starting problem or engine repair.
Take a tip from a cab driver. Have your service station add STP to your car's oil and run smoother, cooler, quieter, longer.
One of these chairs is really a fabulous new Strato-Lounger low-back recliner. It's got everything. Living room styling. Fabrics like amazing Herculon or Scotchgard velvets. Hidden headrest. Built-in ottoman. Perfect for you or your 6-footer. So will the real Strato-Lounger low-back lie down? Funny, it didn't look like a recliner. Be sure you see the genuine Strato-Lounger low-back at fine stores everywhere. In a style for every decor.
Some of the best tasting things in the world come from Latin America. Bananas, chocolate, coffee. Some of the best tasting cigar tobacco comes from Latin America too. Dutch Master cigars are made with tobacco from 4 Latin American countries: Puerto Rico, Santo Domingo, Colombia, and Brazil. Taste a slim Dutch Masters Elite. The 4 countries make a world of difference.
Would everyone wearing a bag please step up here so we could see what, the 2 people in the second row? I've never had guests...
Let it down, mate. You can see your legs there. What's going on?
Can I help you adjust your... There we are.
Now, see, if they were going for a job, you see, and they say, oh, what are your qualifications?
How do you do?
And what color are you? And are you Christian or are you Hebrew? And yeah, you got the job.
Mm. Let us know when you're through voting. You know, I have no idea what sex either of you is, and I assume you do.
Well, you see, you could go in the bag and make love to one of them and find out.
I would, but this is a very short segment.
Oh, I see, okay. Do you want to go off again, then?
If we had more time.
Yes, I know.
Oh, they're leaving.
Scene 1, you've seen them all.
Wait, one thing. One thing. You will speak to me. It's funny because I don't know where to look. I don't know if your nose or your eyes are here.
No, come back here.
Are you a lady?
Yes, I am.
Would you hold where you are for just a moment? Just stay where you are. I'm offering you a glass of water.
I don't drink water.
You don't drink water?
We did an interview.
Have I made a social faux pas?
No, I think it's all right, because you don't know whether she's parring or phoning in there, do you? So it's all right. You see, we did a talk show in England, and every time the man wanted to talk about Beatles, the interviewer, because I'm fed up talking about them, I asked him to go in a bag, and he did it. And the interviewer, the Dick Cavett in England, he was in the bag all the time. So every time the camera panned to him, the audience broke up so he could never get the questions out. It's a very good show. Yeah. Hello.
Thank you for being here.
All right. Charming.
Can you find your way down now? Okay.
You look very nice, mate.
Yes, you're looking a little pale, but very nice.
They could be changing film, of course.
They could be doing anything in there, for all we know.
That's what it's about.
We will be right back after this message. Where we are.
Daddy, this is Harold, the bulb I've been telling you about.
He doesn't look like one of us standard bulbs.
He isn't. He's a General Electric soft white.
Does he glare and cast shadows like we do?
Of course not. GE soft whites aren't as glary.
Well, how can we be sure he's a GE bulb, my dear?
Show him, Harold. Ooh, see?
I never thought any daughter of mine would marry a man with a tattoo.
General Electric soft whites. They couldn't glare less.
Off the coast of California and Alaska, scattered remnants of a rare and endangered species still live. Little is known about the sea otter. Jacques Cousteau and his divers film for the first time the life of this shy sea mammal and study what is essential for its survival. The unsinkable sea otter, a part of the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau.